Consistent preterism says that the second coming of Christ was Christ's coming in vengeance against Jerusalem, and that all through the New Testament, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about Christ's coming in judgment against the apostates of the old covenant who weren't recognizing Jesus as the predicted Messiah that the old covenant prophets were talking about. And there is no prophecy in the New Testament about a third coming that has as momentous consequences as the second coming had. That is the coming of Christ in 70 AD. So if we're on this side of the second coming, we're post second coming. What does that mean? What is the nature of this life? And if it goes on forever and ever, what is the nature of this life? And so that's I think it's a tricky question.
It presents a whole
What is eternity?
it presents a whole different paradigm. You're right. What is eternity? What are we here for? Where are we in history?
It seems like almost every page in the New Testament, somebody is saying the Lord is near, the Lord is coming soon. And that the emphasis was he's going to save us, he's going to deliver us from our enemies, which at that time were the apostates, the old covenant apostates, those who rejected Jesus as the Messiah, were persecuting those who accepted Jesus as the Messiah. And there was this promise that this is going to come to an end, that those
Yeah.
people are going to be destroyed. And it's
So
going to
when
happen in your lifetime, in your generation. It's going to happen soon.
Right. So when it talks about, in 1 Corinthians 15, another passage about putting he shall reign until he has put all his enemies under his feet, would you understand that to mean basically those apostates that they were dealing with then, along with all the spiritual forces that are connected with that?
Yeah, just look up every time the word enemy or enemies occurs in the New Testament. Who is that talking about? I think there was a sense in which Old Testament prophecies were applied by some people, like the Zealots. They thought that the enemies that we're going to be delivered from by the Messiah were the Romans, who had invaded Israel, destroyed Israel's national sovereignty, set up a military dictatorship. The Messiah will rescue us from those. We're going to have a big war. Messiah is going to lead us as a mighty warrior, and we're going to destroy the Roman occupation forces. But it turns out, I think, if you read the New Testament, that they were the enemies. Either they were enemies because they rejected Jesus' mission of peace, like the Zealots. They had their confidence in violent revolution, and they messed up on that one. But at the other hand, were the Pharisees, who were collaborators with Rome. As they said at Jesus' trial, we have no king but Caesar. So there are revolutionaries and there are collaborators, but both of those were the enemies of the Christians, that is, those who accepted Jesus as their Christ. And so where else is enemies? I mean, that's when it says he will destroy the enemies, he will deliver us, he will save us from our enemies. That's what it's talking about, I think. It's talking about those who rejected Jesus and his message of peace.